Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Washington H. Soul Pattinson's 120th Annual General Meeting. I'm Rob Milner and I'm Chairman of the company. I'm advised that there is a quorum present and I formally declare the meeting open. It's a pleasure to see so many of you here in person today, and welcome to those viewing on the webcast. I would like to now introduce you to my fellow directors. Mr Michael Hawker, AM. Josephine Suka, AM. Tom Milner, Joe Pollard, David Baxby, first time you've seen him, Tiffany Fuller, and our CEO and Managing Director, Todd Barlow, our Chief Financial Officer, David Gribben, down the end, and sitting next to me is Pamela Longstaff, our Company Secretary. Also in the room we have our Chief Investment Officer, Brendan. Where's Brendan? He's up the back. And Chief Operating Officer Jackie Virtue, Jackie's down the front. And also we have some senior staff, which will be more than happy to have a chat with you after the meeting. Ryan Fisk from EY, our company's auditor, is also present. Where do I find Ryan? Right in front of me. Thank you. And Ryan's available to answer questions shareholders might have concerning the conduct of the audit, preparation and content of the auditor's report, the company's accounting policies and the auditor's independence. To allow those who have attended to vote at any time during the meeting, I now formally open the poll on all items of business set out in the notice of meeting lodged with the ASX on the 3rd of November. Voting will be conducted by a poll on all items. If you are eligible to vote, you would have received a yellow voting card at your registration. If you believe you are entitled to vote and have not received the correct voting card, please see the computer registry staff. Now, is anyone in the room that hasn't got a card that would feel as though they should have a card? So put your hand up and we'll get someone from Computershare to come and help you out. All right, okay, that's good. Computershare is the returning officer for this meeting. To cast your vote, simply complete and sign the back of the card. You may submit your voting paper at any time into the box alongside the registration table, or by handing your voting card to a Computershare representative at the end of the meeting, and they'll come round with a box and collect your cards. The final results will be released to the ASX and posted on the Souls Pats website later today. Following the presentation, which has been lodged this morning with the ASX, we will then consider formal items of business. Today's AGM is an appropriate time for shareholders and their representatives to ask questions. Shareholders in the room and those shareholders viewing online will have the chance to ask questions. This includes those questions that were sent ahead of the meeting, unless they have already been addressed. Shareholders in the room with a yellow voting card or blue non-voting card may ask questions. To ask a question online, type your name and your question into the text box provided on the viewing platform. Questions sent online will be moderated to avoid repetition, and if questions are lengthy, we may summarise them. Turning now to discuss the changes of the board. As announced this morning to the market, Tom Milner has provided the board with his notice of intention to retire, which will take effect at the end of this calendar year. On behalf of my fellow directors, I sincerely thank you, Tom, for your significant contribution to the board since your appointment in 2011. Tom has performed an important role on the board, providing intergenerational leadership as the 5th generation of the Pattinson family to work with Soul Pattinson. Tom has also supported the company's long-term vision and values. His investing knowledge and energy has made a lasting impression to all those who have been involved with him, both at a board level and also at management level. Tom served on the Nomination Committee, the Risk Committee, the People and Culture Remuneration Committee, and I know our shareholders will join with me and my fellow directors in thanking Tom for his outstanding contribution to the company over the previous 13 years. On the topic of changes to our board, in February this year, we were fortunate enough to have David Baxby join us. He's standing for election today. David is a very experienced senior executive investment expert and public company director. He has held executive positions with Wesfarmers and the Virgin Group. At Virgin, David was CEO to the group's $6 billion family office. We are highly confident David's contribution will continue to make since he has joined the board since last February. Tiffany Fuller and Josephine Suka are both up for re-election today. Soul Patts is very fortunate to have independent directors of this calibre and the valuable contribution they continue to make to this company. Tiffany joined the board in December 2017 as an experienced public company director with a background in chartered accounting, private equity and investment banking. Josephine joined our board in 2020 as an experienced entrepreneur and business executive. Josephine founded the Buildcorp construction business over 30 years with her husband. As a whole, the board reflects an appropriate and complementary set of skills and experience to effectively govern Soul Patts. All directors have confirmed they have time available to fulfil their role, and the board supports director elections at today's meeting. Finally, I would like to thank all our staff at Soul Patts for their effort in delivering the result for 2023. The dedication of Todd and his senior management team means Soul Patts can continue to grow shareholder capital and make consistent dividend payments. I would also like to thank the management and staff of some of our investee companies. Without their success, Soul Patts would not be the company we are today. And to you, our shareholders, thank you for your continued support of this company. Now I'll hand over to Todd and he'll give you his address.
Thank you, Rob, and good afternoon. Thank you very much for being here at today's annual general meeting. I want to start with some exciting news. Today we unveil a refreshed look for the company, which you all know as Soul Patts. We have not changed our registered company name. This remains as Washington H. Soul Pattinson Company Limited, but we have embraced a shortened and more familiar version.
For more than a century, Soul Patts has generated enduring success for shareholders. In 1903, our company was incorporated and publicly listed on the Sydney Stock Exchange. The Soul Pattinson Chemists soon became a retail empire in the Australian market. Today, Soul Patts is a large and highly diversified investment house. Our portfolio holds hundreds of different companies and assets, both public and private, across all kinds of industries. Though far from our retail origins, we've always maintained our values and ways of doing business, grounded in more than 100 years of experience. The Soul Patts way of investing is a long-term commitment to businesses that can be enduringly successful. It is our strength of conviction and our belief in common sense, doing what is right and backing our people. And it is unconstrained opportunity, which means we don't have constraints on investment opportunities, the growth of our business, or the potential of our people. Our flexibility is a key competitive advantage. While there is no change to our registered name, we've shortened it and refreshed our look and feel. We are, and always have been, Soul Patts. It was important to us that we maintain the trust built with our shareholders over centuries. And it was important to continue the spirit of our founders, Louis Pattinson, Caleb and Washington Soul, who are represented to this day through our chairman, Robert Milner, the fourth generation of the Pattinson family. We believe the name Soul Patts crystallises our long-held belief that success comes from truly understanding what we're investing in, which is people. Our new website, soulpats.com.au, showcases our team of professionals, our growing portfolio, and our approach to investing. What hasn't changed is our commitment to our shareholders and plans to continue generating enduring success for centuries to come.
So as you can see, our brand is extremely important to us and we're very excited about this refreshed look. I encourage you to visit our new website, soulpats.com.au, which we believe really improves the user experience, gives a more accurate overview of our current business, and contains relevant information for shareholders. The financial year 2023 was another strong year of performance for Soul Patts. We measure our performance against the three key investment objectives. Firstly, we increased cash generation, with net cash flows from investments increasing to $424 million, which is 22% higher than the prior year. It should also be mentioned that the net cash flows from investments increased 28% in the previous year, and that increased cash flow is supporting higher dividends for shareholders. Secondly, the portfolio grew by $900 million to $10.8 billion as at year end. It again outperformed the market with net asset value on a per share basis after adding back dividends, delivering a total return of 12.3%. This outperformed the All Ordinaries Accumulation Index by 1.2%. That is another strong result on top of a 13.8% growth in net asset values per share in the previous year. And thirdly, and importantly, we achieved all of this while managing investment risk. During the year, we actively rebalanced the portfolio towards more defensive asset classes and increased our cash available for new investments, which we think is a prudent decision in the current environment. Cash at year end was $911 million, an increase of 87% throughout the year. During the period, our team conducted $3.1 billion in combined acquisitions and disposals. We believe that the portfolio is better positioned to withstand any volatility in markets, and I'll come back to this point in a little while. Our performance provided your board with the confidence to materially increase the FY23 dividend. A final dividend of 51 cents per share, fully franked, brought total dividends to 87 cents, which is 20.8% higher than the prior year. We pay dividends to shareholders out of the cash that we receive from our investments, measured by net cash flows from investments. And in FY23, we paid 75% of the cash that we received from the portfolio back to shareholders as fully franked dividends. As I mentioned on the previous slide, we've experienced strong growth in cash flows since the acquisition of Milton, and this has resulted in a step up in dividends over the last 2 years, which have grown on average at 18.5% per year. We are proud of our track record of delivering dividends to shareholders every year since 1903 when the company listed, and increasing them every year since 2000 at a compound annual growth rate of 9.6%. We are the only company in the All Ordinaries Index with this track record of increasing dividends every year for 23 years. Our goal is to provide better than market returns over the medium to long term. This graph reflects total shareholder returns for shareholders over multi-year periods as benchmarked against the ASX All Ordinaries Accumulation Index, which includes the reinvestment of dividends. Over 20 years, the total return for Soul Patts shareholders has been 12.5% per annum, or 3.5% better than the index. The compounding effect of that outperformance means the Soul Patts shareholder has seen their original investment increase by nearly 9.5 times, which is more than double the return from the index. The continued market outperformance across multiple time periods is particularly pleasing in the context of a diversified portfolio that has consistently protected shareholder capital through periods of market volatility, whilst we employ very little leverage and less risk. We currently have a headcount of over 50 in our direct operations. This includes a large and growing team of professionals across investments, finance and operations, 23 of whom were recruited during the last 12 months. This included an executive appointment with Jackie Virtue joining as Chief Operating Officer. Jackie is leading operational risk, governance culture, and fostering people and culture initiatives that support our overall strategy. This growth in capability is also necessary to support the significant increase in investment activity, which over the last 5 years has amounted to $8 billion, and that doesn't include the Milton acquisition. During FY23 alone, the team transacted $3.1 billion in total, rebalancing portfolio weightings towards private equity, credit and cash. $1.4 billion of equities were sold, helping us to accumulate a cash balance of over $900 million at year end to invest in the best opportunities that we're seeing in FY24 and beyond. During the year, we deployed over $900 million into private equity and private credit. This involved 7 new bolt-on acquisitions across our top 4 private equity investments and 23 new investments in the private credit portfolio. Turning to the FY24 start of the year in the first quarter ending 31 October. The portfolio was well positioned at the start of the year for market volatility. During the first 3 months of our financial year, the All Ordinaries Accumulation Index fell by 7.3%. And meanwhile, our portfolio reduced by only 0.4% in that period, which again shows the resilience of the portfolio and its ability to protect capital and perform better in difficult periods. Resilience across our major strategic assets has contributed to this outperformance. Our cash balance now sits at $694 million at 31 October, having continued our strategy of deploying cash into private markets. During the first quarter, we made another acquisition in the private equity portfolio, adding one of the most advanced fruit packing and processing plants globally to our agriculture portfolio. We've continued to add to the credit portfolio, and we also made a significant investment in the emerging companies portfolio into NextGen Energy, which is developing the largest low-cost producing uranium mine globally. We believe it is prudent and opportunistic to have cash on hand in the current environment and are expecting another reasonably high level of activity in FY24. As always, our approach to portfolio construction will be disciplined, targeting high-quality businesses that bring diversity and strong cash generation. We continue to see good quality deal flow and currently have nearly $470 million in committed but undrawn investments across the portfolio. An example of this is the recently announced proposal to acquire Perpetual. We're obviously limited in what we can say about this proposal outside of what has already been disclosed in our announcement on Wednesday afternoon. But to give you a little bit of history, Soul Patts has been a shareholder in Perpetual for many years, and recently we saw an opportunity to increase our position during a period of particular weakness in the share price. We had a view that the sum of the parts was worth more than the market capitalisation. Not only did we accumulate a significant interest, up to 9.9%, we turned our minds to whether there was a value-enhancing opportunity that we could provide to the company. We subsequently approached the company with a proposal which involved Soul Patts acquiring 100% of the business for an implied equity value of $3.06 billion, or $27 per share. It proposed that there would be a simultaneous demerger of Perpetual Asset Management back to existing Perpetual shareholders, leaving Perpetual Corporate Trustee and Perpetual Wealth Management to be owned by Soul Patts. Soul Patts has proposed that it acquires these two businesses for a combined $1.885 billion through the issuance of $1.06 billion worth of Soul scrip and taking on debt and other corporate costs. Soul Patts believes this proposal provides a unique opportunity for Perpetual shareholders to unlock value in a tax-efficient structure while retaining exposure to each of the Perpetual's 3 existing businesses. The acquisition would further provide diversification to Soul Patts' portfolio and increase our exposure to financial services, and it demonstrates our ability to unlock value through a creative, flexible and long-term approach. That concludes my presentation for today. I'd like to thank the Chairman and the Board for their support and guidance throughout the year. I also want to thank our employees for their hard work and dedication to the achievements of FY23. And I want to thank you, our shareholders, for continuing to put your faith in us to manage your wealth. It's truly an honour and a privilege to give service to this company and its shareholders. Thank you.
Thanks, Todd. Another excellent presentation, and I'm sure you'll all agree over the period of time since Todd's been in charge, you've seen this company really leap ahead. So to you and your team, on behalf of all shareholders, thank you very much for particularly the increase in dividends that we've all seen. So well done, guys. Now, let's move to the formal part of the business. I will take questions when we finish the formal part of the business. The formal items of business are set out in the notice of meeting. They include the financial report. No resolution is required. However, questions will be welcomed. The election of David Baxby, the re-elections of Directors Tiffany Fuller and Josephine Suker, the REM report, the granting of performance rights to the CEO and Managing Director, and the increase in the aggregate of non-executive director fee pool. Now, if we have a look at the proxies, I'll just remind you, as I mentioned earlier, if you are voting, you are eligible now to vote at any time. So before we move on any further, I'd just like to ask David Baxby, followed by Tiffany Fuller and Josephine Suker, just to say a few words.
Look, I'm absolutely delighted to be here with you today. I'm fortunate in my career. I've managed to work for some great entrepreneurs and some great shareholders in Wesfarmers and a number of other organisations. And I suppose the one theme that's been woven through each of those roles is it's always been about applying capital and producing, hopefully above average returns. And I think when I was given the opportunity to come and join Soul Patts, I jumped at it because of the reputation that this organisation's built up over, frankly, centuries. And hopefully I can add a little bit of value to the group as we go forward. For the last 6 months, I've been really impressed with the quality of the team, the decision-making that is made at an executive level, and also the collegiality that we as a board enjoy. And I think that's reflective of the returns that the group have been able to generate this year. So I thank you all for your support, and thank you.
Thank you, Chairman, and good morning, everyone, afternoon now, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today. It's been a privilege serving on the Soul Patts board for the last 6 years throughout the transition, heightened activity and growth in size, complexity and maturity of the business as it's become an ASX 100 company. It's an outstanding team to work with, and it's also been a privilege to work with the Milner family, Rob and Tom in particular, and to be part of a founder-led culture which is both humble and high-performing. My career, as Rob said earlier, has been both multidisciplinary and multi-industry, primarily in chartered accounting, corporate finance, investment banking and funds management, management accounting and private equity, both here in Australia, the US and the UK. So I bring to Soul Patts deep financial and accounting literacy skills in M&A, transaction support, corporate strategy, business transformation and risk and governance, which are all relevant to the business of Souls. At Rothschild, I was involved in both raising and investing private third-party capital and in-house balance sheet and the management of listed and unlisted funds for wholesale investors. I'm an experienced company director in various sectors with a focus on financial services, investment management and funds management, technology, retail and property. I've been on public boards for over 10 years now and have extensive experience as chair of both risk and audit committees. As announced today, the board continues to focus on an orderly board renewal program, and as a continuing director, I provide important continuity on the board as we work through this transition. I'm currently on the boards of Computershare, Vicinity, Australian Venue Co and the Royal Children's Hospital Foundation in Melbourne. I'm delighted to offer myself for re-election today, and I thank you for your support. It's great to see so many of you in the room. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to address you today. I'm Josephine Suka and I joined the board in 2020 during COVID. My interview was online, so I didn't get to meet a number of members of the board until I was actually a director. I bring 13 years of listed company experience to Soul Patts, but I come to that with 33 years of experience of owning my own private business with my husband, Buildcorp. We started that business 33 years ago. It turns over around 800 million now, and I've got deep experience in the private sector through Buildcorp as a vehicle and property more broadly. My other listed board is a real estate investment trust, Growthpoint Properties Australia. I've also got deep experience on government boards, interestingly, but the broad investment mandate of Soul Patts aligns with my broad business interests and capabilities, and also through my professional life that I began as a scientist, talks to Rob Milner's desire to have a really diverse skill set around this board, and that's what we have. I'm entrepreneurial by nature and enjoy the diverse nature and opportunities of business opportunities that come to Soul Patts through the board. I hope to continue to keep pace with the organisation as it evolves and continues to align with shareholder expectations, and will support management through things like my directorship of the Green Building Council of Australia. I've got deep experience in the environmental science, and I'm enjoying watching Soul Patts' involvement in the transition of energy and how we're investing there in agriculture, telecommunications and other contemporary issues that this board and business is staring into and investing into heavily. I'm excited to offer myself for re-election and confirm I have the time and ability to fulfil my duties as a non-executive director should I be re-elected today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.